March 17, 1943, North Atlantic 400 meters south of Iceland. The convoy HX-229 is crossing waves of 15 meters, with 41 merchant ships loaded with 140,000 tons of goods heading to Great Britain. In the kitchen of the SS William Eustace, the 28-year-old cook, Thomas "Tommy" Lawson, is washing dishes while the Liberty ship rocks violently. Above him, on the deck, Captain James Bannerman scans the horizon with binoculars, knowing what is coming. The U-boats are there, listening. Under the waves, 600 meters off the port beam of the convoy, corvette Captain Mansack is in the control room of U-758. His hydrophone operator presses the headphones to his ears. The young German sailor whispers, "Contact, heading 280, several propellers, heavy machinery noises, estimate 40 ships." Mansack smiles. The Wolfpack's positions aim at the convoy. What neither Captain Bannerman nor corvette Captain Mansack know is that Tommy Lawson noticed something strange about the noise of the Liberty ships underwater. Something that will change the entire Battle of the Atlantic.
Over the next 6 days, 22 merchant ships from convoys HX-229 and SC-122 will sink under the North Atlantic, taking 300 merchant sailors to the bottom. It will be the worst convoy disaster since 1942. Admiral Karl Dönitz, commander of the German U-boat fleet, describes it as the greatest convoy battle of all time. The figures tell a devastating story. In March 1943, U-boats sink 567,000 tons of Allied ships, more than in any other month of the war. At this rate, Britain has only 3 months of food stocks left. Prime Minister Winston Churchill later wrote, "The only thing that truly frightened me during the war was the peril of the U-boats. The German hydrophone technology is terribly effective. U-boats can hear the noise of convoy propellers at 80 nautical miles. Each merchant ship reveals its position up to 12 miles away. The distinctive sound signature, the cavitation of the propellers, the vibrations of the engines, the resonance of the hull act as a signal for the German torpedoes. The Allied escort ships try everything. Zigzag patterns, radio silence, Aztec sweeps. Nothing works. The convoys are too noisy. The ocean carries sound for kilometers. And the U-boats, hunting in packs, remain silent at 120 meters underwater, listening with their hydrophones, waiting for the perfect position to fire. What the Allies do not know is that the solution will come not from a naval engineer or an acoustic scientist, but from a merchant ship cook who left school at 14. The Western Approaches Command has been fighting U-boats for 3.5 years. They have tried everything. In 1941, the Royal Navy installed the Aztec sonar on every escort ship. Active sonar can detect submerged U-boats at 2,500 meters, but only if the submarine is directly in front. U-boats have learned to attack from the rear or the side, staying outside the Aztec cone. Worse still, Aztec is useless against surface U-boats attacking at night, which is exactly what wolf packs do. In 1942, scientists at Admiralty's research laboratory developed high-frequency directional detection, HUF-DUF, to locate U-boat radio transmissions. It works brilliantly to spot submarines breaking radio silence. But once the wolf pack has contacted a convoy, they cease transmitting. They simply listen. At the beginning of 1943, the Royal Navy spent $8.7 million, equivalent to $560 million today, trying to solve the problem of acoustic signature. Professor Patrick Blackett, Director of Naval Operational Research, published a classified document in which he states, "The cavitation of merchant ship propellers and machinery resonance create detectable underwater sound profiles at extreme distances. Without a fundamental redesign of the hull, impossible during wartime production, convoys will continue to announce their position to enemy hydrophones." The consensus among experts is clear. It is impossible to make a merchant ship sufficiently silent to avoid detection by hydrophone. Dr. Harold Burris, the chief naval architect of Admiralty, explains the physics in a memo dated February 14, 1943. The propellers of a Liberty ship rotate at 76 revolutions per minute under load, moving 210,500 tons of water through a 4.5-meter diameter propeller. The resulting cavitation, Bubbles forming and destroying on the blades generates acoustic energy across a wide range of frequencies from 1 to 100 kHz. The German hydrophones are optimized for this specific range. Reducing the noise of the propeller would require a complete overhaul of the propulsion system, 6 months of dry dock time per ship, and manufacturing capabilities that we simply do not possess. The stakes are enormous. Great Britain imports 2/3 of its food and 100% of its oil by sea. In March 1943, German U-boats sink ships faster than Allied shipyards can build them. The gross tonnage lost exceeds the tonnage launched for 3 consecutive months. During the Conference on Atlantic Convoys held in London on March 4, 1943, Vice Admiral Leonard Murray, commander of the Atlantic Forces of the Royal Canadian Navy, made a blunt assessment. Thomas Patrick Lawson does not have an engineering degree. He doesn't even have a degree at all. Born in South Boston, Massachusetts in 1915, Tommy Lawson left school at 14 to help his family during the Great Depression. He worked as a cook in a diner, then as a kitchen aide on coastal cargo ships. When the war broke out, he joined the American Merchant Marine at 26, not because he wanted to be a hero, but because merchant ships paid $125 a month, 3 times what he earned in Boston. His June 1942 captain's evaluation notes: Lawson TP, onboard cook, adequate performance, no leadership potential, recommended for kitchen duties only. No one expected genius from the person preparing breakfast. After William Eustace survived 3 convoy missions to Liverpool, Lawson develops a strange habit. During his rest hours, he sits in the engine room and listens. The other crew members think he's crazy. "Tommy's going to get killed in there," says First Officer Robert Chen. "This engine room is as hot as an oven and twice as noisy." But Lawson is not there for the heat. He's there because he has noticed something. On February 19, 1943, in the open sea, the William Eustace is part of convoy SC-18. 63 ships in 9 columns. Lawson is in the engine room during a U-boat alert. Crouched near the main steam pipe, the ship's engineer, a gruff Scotsman named Donald MacLeod, shouts over the roar of the turbines, "Go back to your kitchen, cook. This is not a place for you." The ship trembles. A torpedo has hit a vessel 2 columns away. Through the hull, Lawson hears it. Not the explosion, but what comes after. The sound of water entering the sinking ship's hull, creating a strange hollow noise. Then, silence. The U-boats can no longer hear it. Lawson grabs MacLeod's arm. "The sinking ship, it has stopped making noise." "Of course it has stopped. It's filled with water." MacLeod replies. "No, I mean..." Lawson struggles to explain. "When the water floods the hull, it stops the vibrations of the machines. The U-boats can no longer hear it." MacLeod looks at him, initially confused, then with disdain. "That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Go back to your kitchen." But Lawson cannot forget. For 2 weeks, he sketches diagrams in a notebook. Watertight chambers around the propeller shaft, ballast tanks positioned against the machinery supports, controlled flooding systems. He shows them to MacLeod, who rejects them. He shows them to the first officer, who laughs. He shows them to Captain Bannerman, who sighs and says, "Son, I appreciate your initiative, but leave engineering to the engineers." No one takes the cook seriously. On March 24, 1943, William Eustace docks in Liverpool. Lawson has 48 hours of leave. He does something completely unauthorized, probably ruining his career and certainly risking madness. He enters the Western Approach's headquarters and asks to speak to an admiral about the U-boats. Tommy Lawson does not get the chance to meet an admiral. He is arrested. 2 officers from the Royal Navy Patrol intercept him in the hall of Derby House, the Western Approach's headquarters. "You can't be here, man," one of them says, grabbing his arm. "This is a restricted military zone." "I need to speak to someone about the convoy noise," Lawson insists. "I have an idea." "Everyone's got ideas, Yank. Move along." They escort him outside when a voice rises from the other side of the hall. "Wait." The voice comes from Commander Peter Gretton, a 29-year-old officer of the Royal Navy who has commanded escort groups for 2 years. He has just returned from the ONS-5 convoy, where he lost 13 merchant ships to wolf packs. He is exhausted, furious, and desperate to find any advantage against the U-boats. "What did you say about the noise of the convoys?" asked Gretton. Lawson explains his observation. The sinking ship that becomes silent. The concept of dampening machine vibrations with water. Gretton listens, arms crossed. When he finishes, the commander says, "That's the most ridiculous thing I've heard this month. Not if we control the water." Lawson says that small chambers around the propeller shaft and machine supports are filled with water. Gretton is about to dismiss him when he pauses. "Say that again." "Acoustic dampening." Gretton remembers what he knows about acoustics. "I have knowledge about that. Come with me." March 25, 1943, at HM Arsenal, Liverpool. Gretton takes Lawson aboard the corvette HMS Sunflower, which is in dry dock for repairs. If it works, which is a huge if, they will test it here on a small scale. No one must know. In 3 days, Lawson, Gretton, and the Sunflower's engineer, Lieutenant James Whitby, build a prototype. They weld empty oil drums around the propeller shaft housing of the corvette, then fill them with seawater. They position sandbags to simulate the weight of water against the engine supports. It's rough, it's ugly, and according to every rule of the Royal Navy, it's completely unauthorized. March 28, 1943.
They are conducting the first test. The Sunflower slowly emerges from the Mersey River. A submarine, the HMS Trespasser, participates in the unauthorized test by submerging at 500 meters. Lawson stands on the deck of the Sunflower, holding his breath. The captain of the Trespasser surfaces and signals. "We heard you from afar. Engine noise, propeller cavitation, as usual, failure." But Lawson notices something. "We filled the drums when the ship was dry docked. They are no longer full now. They have drained through the joints. They need to be sealed." Gretton runs a hand through his hair. "If Admiral T finds out I modified a warship without authorization, I will be court-martialed. If Admiral T finds out that the U-boats are sinking 20 ships a week because we are too proud to test the idea of a cook, we will lose the war." Gretton looks at him for a long moment. 3 more days, he said. "Then we stop the experiment." The next 3 days, Lawson, Gretton, and Whitby work tirelessly. They weld sealed metal chambers, add rubber cushions filled with water against the engine supports. They create what naval engineers will later call liquid acoustic damping. April 2nd, 1943. Second trial. The Sunflower moves at full speed. The HMS Trespasser submarine submerges at 1,000 meters. Minutes pass. Then the Trespasser surfaces again. The submarine captain signals to Gretton. "We lost you at 400 meters, the Trespasser captain reports. The hydrophones only captured the ambient ocean noise. Gretton's face pales. "Say that again. At 400 meters, you disappeared." Everyone remains frozen. Lawson closes his eyes, trembling hands. It works. It's a success. April 3rd, 1943. Admiral T's conference room, London. Commander Gretton requests an emergency meeting with Vice Admiral Max Horton, Commander-in-Chief of the Western Approaches. He brings Lawson with him, much to the dismay of the Admiral's staff. "A cook?" murmurs an assistant. In the conference room, Horton, a legendary submariner from World War I, enters the room with 3 other senior officers and Dr. Harold Burrus, the naval architect who had declared that acoustic damping was impossible. Gretton presents the test results. The detection range of the hydrophones has been reduced from 12 miles to 400 yards, a 97% reduction in acoustic signature. The room erupts in protests. "But that's absurd," exclaims Dr. Burrus. "You have modified a warship without authorization based on the suggestion of a cook. A cook who understands acoustics better than your entire department," replies Gretton. Captain Edmund Rushbrook, Director of Naval Intelligence, then intervenes. "This reckless experimentation could compromise..." "Compromise what?" Gretton interrupts. "Our current system that allows U-boats to hear us at 50 nautical miles? This system that works perfectly?" Admiral Horton raises his hand, requesting silence. He then turns to Lawson. "Explain that to me simply." Lawson stands up, aware that he is a 28-year-old cook without academic training, speaking to the highest commanders of the British Navy. "Sir, the ship's machines create vibrations. These vibrations propagate through the hull into the water. Water absorbs vibrations much better than air or steel. If you position water-filled chambers around the propeller shafts, motor supports, you create a barrier that prevents sound from reaching the ocean." Dr. Burrus retorts, "And the problem of weight distribution, stability, corrosion, the airtight chambers." Lawson responds, "It's not flooding, it's acoustic damping, and we've tested that. It works." "A test," sneers Burrus, "under controlled conditions in a river with a friendly submarine. Not very convincing." Admiral Horton leans back in his chair. "And how much would it cost to retrofit a convoy?" Captain Rushbrook fidgets. "Admiral, you can't be serious. We'd have to modify hundreds of ships, divert resources, install unproven technology based on the results of a cook." Gretton interrupts. "Regarding the fact that in March we lost 567,000 tons of ships because of our noise. Regarding the fact that if we do nothing differently, we will lose the war before autumn." The room falls into complete silence. Dr. Burrus speaks slowly. "Admiral, even if this idea has merit, its implementation is impossible. We would need to retrofit 2,400 merchant ships. The shipyards are already at full capacity. Steel is needed for escort ships. We would need at least 6 weeks per ship." Lawson takes a deep breath and responds calmly. "It won't take 6 weeks. The prototype installations took 3 days." All eyes turn to him. "This isn't complex engineering. You just need to weld watertight chambers around existing structures and fill them with water. Any shipyard team can do it. Any ship engineer can maintain it." Admiral Horton remains silent. "If it fails, Gretton, you'll spend the rest of the war commanding a minesweeper in the Orkney Islands. If it succeeds, you'll receive orders to equip an entire convoy." He turns to Lawson. "Mr. Lawson, I don't know if you are a genius or a madman, but I know we are desperate. Don't make me regret this decision." Lawson swallows hard. "I will not disappoint you, sir." April 11th, 1943. At the HM shipyards in Liverpool, 6 merchant ships receive modifications: the SS Daniel Webster, the SS James Herod, the SS John Davenport, the SS Samuel Eliot, the SS Benjamin Kai, and the SS William Eustace of Lawson. The installation is brutal and simple. The teams weld cylindrical steel chambers 60 centimeters in diameter around the propeller shaft housings. They install rubber cushions filled with water against the engine supports and steam pipes. The additional weight per ship, 18 tons. The installation time per ship, 64 hours. Naval engineers are skeptical. "It looks like we've cobbled together a plumbing system in the engine room," murmurs one of them. He is not wrong, but hydrophone tests do not lie. Before modification, the acoustic signature of a Liberty ship is detectable at 11.7 nautical miles. After modification, it is reduced to 0.4 miles. The ships become 29 times quieter. April 22nd, 1943. The ON 184 convoy departs Liverpool. 43 merchant ships in 9 columns, escorted by 6 corvettes and 2 destroyers. The 6 modified ships are dispersed throughout the formation. 2 in the port columns, 2 in the starboard columns, 2 in the center. No one is informed of the experiment. If the U-boats attack, the test will take place under real conditions. On April 25, 1943, at 2:14 a.m. On board U-264, Captain Hartwig scans his charts. His hydrophone operator has been tracking the convoy's noise for 6 hours. The contact weakens. "Captain, the signal is intermittent." "Impossible. Either we hear the convoy or we don't." Hartwig orders to surface at the periscope. Through the periscope, he spots the convoy. But something is wrong. His hydrophones should hear the 43 ships, but he hears only 27. 16 ships are acoustically invisible. No, not 16. 6. The others too far away to be heard. But these 6 ships, scattered throughout the convoy, generate no acoustic signature. Hartwig makes a decision that will save Allied lives. He only targets the ships he can hear clearly. The modified ships, quieter than the surrounding ocean, go unnoticed. April 27, 1943, 600 miles west of Ireland, the U-boat pack of the Mesa Group attacks convoy ON-184. For 18 hours, they sink 9 merchant ships. It is a heavy loss. 3,200 men in lifeboats, 47,000 tons of cargo at the bottom of the ocean. But here is the key statistic. Among the 9 ships sunk, none are modified. The 6 ships with Lawson's acoustic damping system survive unscathed. When convoy ON-184 reaches New York on May 7, 1943, Commander Gretton immediately sends a message to London. The modified ships were not attacked, despite having similar positions within the convoy formation. Acoustic damping works in real combat conditions. Recommendation: immediate implementation fleet-wide. May 12, 1943. Statistical analysis. The Western Approaches Command reviews the figures. In March 1943, before acoustic damping, the average detection range of U-boats was 11.4 nautical miles. The rate of merchant ships sunk by Wolfpack engagement was 31%. The U-boat loss rate per convoy engagement was 1.2 submarines. After the introduction of acoustic damping, between May and July 1943, the figures changed dramatically.